Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies. Hey, check out their Whatnot app as well as their Facebook Live auction. Alrighty, welcome to a special impromptu episode of Codename New to Vero 2. I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. This is a Gen X for Gen X channel. And today we're going to actually look at some pickups that I had as I recently come back from the Northeast, checking in on good old mom and dad by the fighting city of the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. I was actually up there when the Eagles played against the Rams, so that snowstorm, I was there. I went ahead and shoveled my parents' driveway and hopped on a plane a few days later and came back to the Sunshine State only to freeze my ass off because the entire East Coast was in that cold snap. Anyway, I was under the weather, but now I'm good and back. So I wanted to show off some of my pickups, even though I do this later, but because, it will be a lot in one episode. So I'm going to break it down. And these have a lot of Gen X keys, wonderful pickups for the fellow Gen Xer. So you guys might want to take a look at these offerings and see if, you wanted to check them out. Also going to take a look at the recent StarWars, Hasbro, Kenner, whatever the hell they want to call themselves now, vintage collection Princess Leia. So here's my original card back for Princess Leia and my original Princess Leia. So we're going to take a look at the modern equivalent just real quickly because, it was on clearance. And I felt bad. That's the thing with Star Wars. It's just sad seeing the Darth Vaders, the Landos, the Leias, the Hans just sitting up there as Pegwarmers. I never thought that would happen. But that shows you. And also, and I'm going to go on a little tangent here. That shows you with the Hasbro's news. There's been leak reports that Hasbro wants to get out of the toy making business and kind of concentrate on digital entertainment. How do I feel about that? I mean, it is what it is. It's just, you just got to... See, here's the thing. My regulars know this. I kind of stopped or pulled back significantly from these classified lines. Number one, I've made no gripes. I have an issue with Emily and the modern G.I. Joe Hasbro team, how they've treated the fan base and kind of and the new people that are jumping in. I'm not saying this for all people, but it's just sad that the message of G.I. Joe, what G.I. Joe is about, as far as celebrating diversity, people coming together, working together, that is the essence of the G.I. Joe line. And I think that the people that have jumped on the G.I. Joe bandwagon seem to forget that. And it's just sad with all of the, I don't want me to be political, but after everything we went through, it's sad because you see how can you, some of the things I've seen is just really terrible with the 2018 new G.I. Joe fan base. It's very scary. And I know there's some good people out there, but what we're attracting isn't really good. Anyway, so we're going to show off these books, and I think you're going to like them, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. So let's start off with the first issue. It's going to be Thundercats Apex. Now, here's the thing about this. What if... I don't want to give away this story, but it's so good when you realize who this character is. And if you look at it, it looks like a combination. Look close here. If you see that, he looks like a combination of Mumra, but he has Thundercats logo. Now, I think this is a one-off or like a mini series that's going to tie into the Thundercats run. And a lot of people, and I said this in my last pickup episode, pick up this run. The Thundercats have been surprisingly really good versus all the other Gen X IPs that have popped up. Even like these, like the Destro spinoff, the Scarlet spinoff, Void Rivals is just the Energon universe seems like it's just so big, and like there's so many pieces. You got to read Void Rivals. You got to read this. It's all over the place, and that's the drawback. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but you have to really be on top of it. And as my regulars, I haven't been doing the recast because it's just so overwhelming. You can't start off at issue one, and catch up because you gotta really be immersed into this universe in order to get the full story out of it. And I've kind of been lukewarm. I'm always going to be a Larry Hama. I am into the real American hero. I'm a ride and die with Larry Hama. Like, that to me, Larry Hama is canon. All the other ones are just Elseworld stuff. But anyway, this is an amazing book because it has some of the Old Man Logan feel to it. Like imagine like all the Thundercats are gone and it's been like such a long time and like they become a myth. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. But Thundercats Apex is a excellent spin-off series that you should definitely pick up. This is issue 1. You're going to be surprised in the very first issue who that character is. And, I was shocked. I was really shocked at how excellent that was. So, our next book, even though I haven't read past issue number 2, is going to be Destro issue number 5. I think I may have had this. I don't know. But, I was up at the comic shop. And, what's cool is that you go to the comic shop that you went to when you're a kid. And I'm lucky that I still have that. One of the comic shops called, and I'll give a shout out to Heroes Comics in Burlington, New Jersey. I've been going there. I used to buy ECW wrestling tickets at this place. And God knows, ECW, all you guys who know wrestling, how insane that was. Yeah, it was insane. In real life, it was even more insane. So I was there for a lot of those Saturday ECW tapings. I even got blood on me. I think one of the wrestlers, his name was New Jack, took a cheese grater to somebody's head. And I was like, good thing I had the wipes or whatever. I'm like, wash this shit off. But yeah, that was kind of gross. But those ECW. Anyway, Heroes is one of my childhood comic stores. So every time I go there, I say hi to the owner. The owner's awesome. He remembers me, even though I come twice a year from Florida. So this Destro issue number 5. All right, the next one is pretty damn cool, especially for the 70s, 70s fans, and even 80s until 9. Gatchaman issue number 1. Some people know it as Battle of the Planets, G-Force. They go by a lot of names, but the characters are always the same. So it's kind of cool to pick up a G-Force issue number 1. And it comes by a company called Mad Cave Publishing. So I'm not familiar with this publishing company. I may be. I think they make like mature comics, but they just picked up this IP. So now they're starting with Gatchaman issue number 1. But again, I think the theme song from Battle of the Planets is one of the top 5 best theme intros. There's Star Blazers, Robotech. I mean, those early Japanese animation, the soundtracks, everything are so... It's amazing how superior they are to even today's stuff. Like the score, everything is just wonderfully done. So I'm glad to pick this up. If you're a Gatchaman Battle of the Planets fan, definitely start looking at this because here we go. We got some G-Force in 2025. All right, I think I showcased Frail issue number 4, so I think that's a repeat. All right, the next book is actually pretty interesting. This is Superman issue number 204. This is Jim Lee, iconic artist Jim Lee's start on his run on Superman. This cover is kind of cool because they have a Batman one that's like kind of like the reciprocal of this. So this Superman cover is like really sought after. It's one of those classic Jim Lee. You know, us 90s kids that grew up with Jim Lee's art, uh, you could see a lot of that in Superman's face. I mean, it looks like a Jim Lee drawing, but I think this is like it's just beautiful, like how he's still and now he's like runs the whole show at DC. If you don't know that, yeah, Jim Lee is he runs. He's like now the Stan Lee, the editor, the Jim Shooter, whatever you want to call it. But he's the editor in chief of DC Comics now. So it's kind of cool to see how he has risen all the way to like being the top man in DC Comics, and he's heavily involved in the James Gunn um, upcoming DCU that's coming with James Gunn. So they're kind of working side by side. But this is a beautiful, beautiful cover. So that's pretty much why I picked it up. Our next one is another wonderful cover. It's going to be Storm issue number 3. I love this cover. I mean, that is just beautiful. I forget who does the artist for this, but I feel like I've seen it many, many times. Because Marvel like contracts, let's see, variant cover. Derek Chu and Nicoletta Baldari. Well, I don't know who those are. But anyway, this is a pretty damn cover. I just like how, you know, it captures Storm in all of her glory. Kind of like she is powerful. She is no one to mess with. This is a beautiful, beautiful done cover. I just like how, you know, her legs are, you know, just shows her strength. And that's what I think this cover kind of like focuses on. So Storm issue number 3. The next one is our next of the ongoing Amazing Spider-Man issue number 65, the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. This has been surprisingly pretty good. I started reading it again. Like I finally caught up in like issue 60, you know. But this is actually good. Again, this is a new team. Zeb Wells' era is gone, so we got to give it a chance once again. But it's nice to see, you know, that Spider-Man is slowly starting to be decent. But Amazing Spider-Man issue number 65. Alrighty. Our next book, and I've raved about this, Absolute Batman issue number 4. Again, I said it during our last few pickups. If you're not reading this, this is one of the best of 2025. It's already off 2024, 2025. This series has been a wonderful, wonderful surprise. A different Batman. What if Batman grew up poor? And what happens, you know, when he doesn't have the riches of the Wayne Foundation? What if his dad wasn't a doctor? So what if his mom was still alive? Like all of these weird things, this is what makes this book so good. And what you're going to be surprised is Batman's best friends are all of his enemies that we know. Like he hangs out with Edward Nygma, Selena Kyle. Like they're his friends growing up. Like they went to school together. I'm not trying to give away anything, but it's just such a different premise altogether. So going and expecting a new, like, unknowing what you know of Batman and kind of like putting it together to make a new Batman with all the concepts are all there. They're all spread around. But you kind of got to like reassemble it in like, you know, and it's just going to be a totally different thing than what you were used to putting together. So I love that. That's just, it's like deconstructed and reconstructed again. That's what's making this good. And on that same premise, Wonder Woman issue number 4. This is again is Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 4. This is another excellent title that kind of does the same exact thing. And I said it before. What if Wonder Woman wasn't raised in Themyscira. So and what is her? How much of the Wonder Woman that we know is still Wonder Woman? And there's other variables in this equation that makes this really, really interesting. What if Wonder Woman was raised by Circe? And what if Wonder Woman was raised in like a level of hell, but like the bad hell? Like, think of Dante's Inferno. I said that before, but that's the best analogy that I could give. So, and she, comes back she could go back and forth into the real world and where she's at. So it's kind of cool. And you're going to discover some stuff about Wonder Woman that, like her morals and like how she's so like hell bent on living up to some ideal that she has in her head. And I think like that's a double-edged sword. But again, I would highly recommend picking up Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman. I haven't really gotten into the Absolute Superman one because I'll be honest with you, like even though I showcased that Superman issue 204, I've never been really into the Superman comic books. I don't know. It just seems like that's why, again, the same reasons why I like G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is like people that you could see today, that ends up being like real people. Superman is kind of like a fantasy, like there's no such thing. And then, of course, even though Batman is a fake, but it's impossible to do. No human being can subject themselves. I don't care if you're LeBron James or like, any of these MMA guys or an Olympic athlete cannot do what Batman does. The laws of physics and Batman and comic books do not apply. The human body and physics just don't apply. But still, he's based on a real person. So I kind of gravitate towards that more than, and I'm saying that, and then the next book I'm going to pick up is X-Men. But so this is going to be X-Men number 4. And I picked this up because of the J. Scott Campbell cover. J. Scott Campbell is like today's Todd McFarlane or any of those iconic guys we grew up with. His covers are just spot on, and I love them very much. And this is a wonderful cover of Emma Frost, the Frost Queen. So I definitely wanted to pick them up. And the funny thing is, like, I'll pick them up and get graded, and those things, if I do sell them, they go fast. Like, people just want to get graded J. Scott Campbell because 20 years from now, 30 years from now, he's probably going to be sought after. His artwork will be. All right, the next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 66. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I still haven't read the other thing. But this is another variant cover, or no, this is cover A. But of course, it has the Black Cat in it, and I love the Black Cat. And I know there's been like, the Black Cat has been trying to get with this now recently single Peter Parker. So that whole kind of thing has been going on in the background. So I guess maybe they get together. Who knows? Our last book we're going to showcase is the one I've been waiting to showcase. It is Green Hornet and Mrs. Fury. Now, a lot of these kids, even some of us Gen Xers, may not remember, but, the Green Hornet was a big show that coincided with the Adam West Batman. Matter of fact, Bruce Lee got his start as Kato from this show. That was his first appearance into TV film. So that's another interesting. And if you watch The Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, they do like some of the, they reenact some stuff, whether it's true or I'm sure it's slightly embellished, but again, it's fucking Bruce Lee, so I sort of kind of believe it. But if you watch The Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which came out in the 90s, they have like a scene where, he is Kato, and it kind of like, that's what I thought about. But this is an excellent pickup. This is the issue number 1. This is another Dynamite, but this is a great cover. And Tom Segura, G.I. Joe people should know him because he kind of wrote like a side story for like a side series for GI Joe. I know he did one for GoBots as well, and I picked up that issue one. But he's a good writer himself, and I'm definitely interested to check this out. So, Green Hornet and Miss Fury. So this is definitely something you should check out. The artwork's actually pretty good too. Of course, Dynamite has like a shitload of variant covers, but the artwork is pretty good. And also, there's going to be a Silverhawks apparently. But yeah, the artwork's not too shabby here. So this is going to be a fun. Of course, Miss Fury and Catwoman are kind of. Oh, there's also going to be a Silverhawks. Man, we are going definitely into the 80s. That's kind of cool, you know? It's just the thing is, I wished it was marketed to younger kids so they could get into it. Alrighty, so the last thing we're going to showcase in this episode is a recent pickup for, you know, I mentioned we have the 1977 Princess Leia. I mean, I love this figure. It's just wholesome and simple. She likes to bow, like, you know, and she has those buns, so she's like a samurai warrior. But this is the modern equivalent. So here we go. It was on clearance, but you could see the card back. You know, they're taking it right off the original, but you definitely could tell, you know, it's the modern. Then the back. Here's the back. So, like I said, it's kind of sad to see these iconic characters and how this IP. I didn't even watch any of the recent. What's that? I don't know. It's like the kids. They go. It's supposed to be like a Goonies. Like it's on Disney. It just came out on Disney Plus. But the kids go on a trip, and then like Judd Law is in it or something like that. I don't watch one episode. I mean, after what we saw with the Acolyte, it was like, So, and then on the toy side, I know that guy, World Class Bullshitters, likes to go to Ollie's and show. It's just sad how much shit, and no one's gonna buy this stuff because none of these kids care because it's oversaturated. It's too much. When things get too much, people tune out. When it's like slowly sent out, like a slow burn, then people kind of like build up, and then that's how the fan base kind of starts. But it's kind of sad, like, you know, these toys aren't appealing to anybody, and it's just a sad thing. But then again, kids don't really play with toys nowadays. Like, you know, they do so many other stuff, and because they don't really use their imaginations like we did. We didn't have all of the technology stuff, so it's part of the times. We had to entertain ourselves because we didn't have anything else except time. When you have other stuff, you know, TV, computers, tablets, whatever, everything's fighting for your time. So if Hasbro stops making toys, am I going to be sad? No. I mean, whatever. I got my like retro stuff, and you know, and I did it for me, and I really can't find any connection with these modern, with this stuff, except that it's Princess Leia. So that's the thing, is like I can't make a connection with this because except this. This is the only thing that's connecting this. And this should stand up on its own, right? Like this should be, oh, a new Leia definitely wanted, or other kids want it, but people aren't really. That's where you're finding things on the pegs. Anyway, like, are you still buying? Anybody still buying Star Wars? I mean, I'm wondering, what are people picking up, and how would you feel if Hasbro stopped making toys? I mean, they're going to license it out like Super 7s and stuff, like you see with the Super 7 O-ring figures. So that's still, and then also the Hasbro Pulse. I bet you the prices on that are going to go up. If they don't make as much, they're definitely going to like these Kickstarters, whatever the hell you want to call it. The prices are going to go up on stuff, and that's basically being greedy. So I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, like I said, I love G.I. Joe. I'm going to be a fan for the rest of my life, but I haven't been picking up. Maybe like we did one or two classifieds here and there, and that's like if it's on clearance too. So that's basically. Are you still picking up classifieds? And what do you think that I'm saying about all this? Are you in agreement or disagreement? It's just weird, like the whole pulse of the action figure fandom. It's kind of like it's either like, following blindly or people checking out. So that's what I'm noticing. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode, and stay tuned. We'll have many more. We're going to have one about, it's going to be a controversial issue. It's going to be about reproduction games and reproduction toys. Are they good? Are they bad? I sort of did an episode about this with our good friend HCC788. That's Hooded Cobra Commander 78. When we looked at Black Major Figures, which is a gentleman who makes reproduction G.I. Joe from the vintage line, the 1982 to 1994, and how that is a double-edged sword. It's good and it's bad at the same time. Anyway, I hope you stay tuned. That episode will be coming up shortly. We've got a lot of cool games, so I think that a lot of people from both communities and also the because like all three of it, I mean, I don't know one person that's solely into one. Everybody's all like connected if you're in this fandom, so to speak. You like a little bit of video games, like a little bit of comics, like a little bit of action figures. So that's why I'm kind of like giving everything all at once. Anyway, so we will talk to you later. Have a good one. Stay warm.